But yeah, since series score matters, I'm not going to be giving charity games like, oh yeah, let's just give this team a game because, you know, it would be cool if they win a game. I'll only give a game if I do think there's an outside chance of an upset, you know? 3-0 is when I expect there to be guaranteed this team wins, no debate. And 3-1 is when there's like an outside chance of an upset. 3-2 is when it's a close series. So anyway, G2 Limitless 3-0. Don't think we need to discuss that. Gentlemates Pioneers 3-0. Falcons Gladiators 3-0. I think these are the three matches that there really is such a small chance that these teams win a game, never mind a series. Pioneers is Amphis Fiber super lucky. They had a hard time, didn't qualify for the second splits major. So they're possibly not even the second best team in OCE, but they are for the whole season, so they deserve to be at Worlds. Whole season, they're the second best team. Farm, nah, they're not Chiefs. Well, not Jory's version of Chiefs. They're not Power, so that's going to be tough. Gladiators and Limitless obviously going to struggle against teams like Falcons and G2 as well. That's just, you know, well, most people's consensus best two teams in the world, and you're the lowest seeded teams of the competition. So tough, extremely tough. Okay, Furia OG. I think OG have got an outside chance of getting an upset here, but I do think Furia are the strong favorite. But I'll say 3-1. It's not close enough to merit a 3-2 in my opinion, but yeah, OG are definitely good enough to do something in the series. If they catch Furia on a really bad day, they could upset them. But most likely we're going to see Furia win that 3-1 or maybe 3-0, but I'll put 3-1. Now, BDS Oxygen. This is an interesting match for so many reasons. Oxygen, the 16th team at Worlds. They weren't going to be there, but then with Mina's 2 seed having to pull out, they got an invite. The reason that they got an invite is, well, here it says at the bottom here, anything forfeit their spot, anything is the Mina 2 team. And Oxygen were awarded the spot. But the reason was Europe accumulated the most RLCS points between the teams that have qualified to LANs. I think that's what it was, right? But if you look at it another way, Europe's worst team at LAN outperformed every other region's worst team at LAN across the season. EU's 4th best team at LAN was better than NA's 4th best team, better than Sam's 2nd best team, better than OCE's 2nd best team, etc., etc. So if you're looking at which region had the strongest worst team, that's Europe, and that's why the next best team from Europe got to go. Gibbs made an interesting video making a case that it should have been Complexity, and I think Complexity would have been a decent choice as well. But all things considered, especially if you just look at, I mean, this isn't a situation that was planned for. A team couldn't make Worlds. Oxygen had to, or somebody had to get put in their place. If you look at which team, you know, actually out of the options of who you could invite to go, RMC, that's Rettles, Magic Bear Cheese, Oxygen, Complexity, which one of those teams actually did well in the second split? Oxygen. So I think if you want a team that are actually most deserving right now, I think it's probably them. And across the whole season, not a bad choice. So no pressure on them anymore. When they were playing at London, they bottled it. They didn't make it out of Swiss. They lost to Power. Bad tournament for them. But there was a lot of pressure on them at that event. Now, not really any pressure on this team. They're at Worlds. They're just happy to be there. BDS are the team who have just recently won Esports World Cup. They've been very good in Swiss stages. Well, they've been pretty good in Swiss stages at majors, but they've not been the dominant online BDS force at majors. Far from it. So I'm going to give it to BDS. They did just win EWC. The only question is it a 3-2 or a 3-1? Because Oxygen, without any pressure on them, have got some pretty big wins online this split. They've beaten Carmine Corp. I think they beat Gentlemates in Swiss. They beat Carmine Corp in bracket. If BDS hadn't won EWC, I'd probably say 3-2. But because they did, I'm going to respect that. That's going to be wonders for their confidence. And their playstyle was really dialed in there. If they can bring that to Worlds, it was very recent. These two events are close together. I think we have to respect that result and let it play an influence in our predictions here. Vitality Secret. Secret are a weird team. They beat Oxygen. Oh, no, they didn't. They beat OG in London, but then they looked extremely flat against a bunch of other teams. Let me just show you guys the London results if you need a reminder. I do. personally, neither. I don't remember them all off the top of my head. But yeah, they beat GenG in one game. And then they went 0-3 to Gentlemates, 0-3 to BDS. Beat Chiefs 3-2, not very impressive. Beat OG 3-2, pretty impressive. So overall, pretty mid team. Vitality should be much too strong for them. I think I'll give Secret a game because I think they're if they're able to get a game off GenG a couple times whenever they play them. Did they get a game off GenG at Esports World Cup? I'm trying to remember, did they? Or was it just 3-0 this time around? Because these teams they've played a bunch. Yeah, they got a 3-1 and a 3-0 against them. I mean, let's be honest, it's a 3-1 or a 3-0. I'll say 1 because Vitality haven't been immaculate. They've been a bit wish-washy. So versus Vitality, I'll give Secret 1. If they're playing a Falcons or a G2, I'd give them 0 here. But okay, GenG, Power. I think we just give Power 1 game. Because although Power they're not at GenG's level, they have been good enough at like various lands this season to get a game against, well, they actually did get a game against GenG when they played them in Copenhagen. And they get games here and there against good teams. They beat Oxygen, obviously. They actually got swept by GenG last time they played them, but they get game off SSG. I think they got game off BDS first time they played them at BDS. Yeah, it's probably a 1. That's where their power level is. And then Spacestation, Carmine. First game, this is going to 5, I think. First game that's going to 5 here. I'm going to lean slightly on the side of Carmine Corp. I think this will be a bounce back event for them. But if you pick SSG, that's not a bad pick. This is a game 5, which if I'm putting a Swiss game to game 5, that means anybody's game. I'm going to lean a little bit on KC here. I think that they can bounce back from a disappointing absence in Major 2. Okay. G2 Carmine. Absolute banger, by the way. I think, honestly, that goes to 5. I really do. If they make Swiss. If they match in Swiss, I mean. G2 didn't play Esports World Cup with Beast Mode. Now they're going to have Beast Mode back. Carmine Corp didn't play at the Major, didn't play Esports World Cup. There were maybe a little bit of Major tournament, like that prestigious level of tournament, rust. I'm going to give it to G2 in 5. I'm going to lean a little bit to G2 on that one because of the recent win in London and Carmine's absence from London. I do think there's a gap between G2 and SSG, so if Carmine are edging SSG, I'm going to give G2 the edge here. Gentlemates GenG, interesting series. GenG just got their big quarterfinal win over Vitality, 4-0'd them. Gentlemates, meanwhile, couldn't even make it out of groups, lost twice to Chiefs. What on earth is happening with them? Hard to tell. Will Gentlemates make a return to form, or will GenG use that, upward progression that they're making, Esports World Cup result, as a platform to build? Oh, this is a tough one. I think it's going to game 5. I think it's going to game 5. And if it does go to game 5, who ices it? That's the question. Who ices it in game 5? I think, oh man, honestly, all these look like absolute worldies. They all look like game 5s. Have they played? Did they play at one of the majors? I can't remember if they did. They didn't play at Major 2. They played in the playoffs at Major 1. I don't think they played in Swiss, though, did they? No, they didn't play in Swiss, which is what we're discussing right now. It's a tough one. Ah, man. I think I'm going to say... I think I'm going to say Gentlemates, but Esports World Cup's got me really confused about this team, really confused. Really, really weird result for them. Losing to Chiefs twice. Joria's twice. Joria's Hunter Kaka. So, I mean, you pick whatever result you want in that match. It's probably valid. But my head is thinking Gentlemates bounce back. I just think that they probably will. Reset to factory settings and just be good again. Okay, Falcons, Vitality. Honestly, I'm gonna say 3-1 here, Falcons. I think Falcons are gonna win 3-1. I'm not gonna say 3-2 because I'm more confident about this. Is the first match in a while. These ones I've not been like confident on anybody in particular winning. This one I'm pretty confident Falcons are winning it, so I'm gonna say 3-1, I guess, because I'm more confident. And then BDS Furia. Yeah, Furia looked a little bit flat at Esports World Cup. They lost to Vitality, who then got smoked by GenG. They took 5 games to beat Twisted Minds. They got 4-0'd by Falcons here. I think I'm going to say 3-1 BDS. I think BDS, yeah, I'm confident BDS Falcons here, so I'll back that up with my predictions. These are all close, though. They are pretty close. It could easily go game 5. Right, Spacestation Limitless. I don't think Limitless will get a game. Power Pioneers. I don't think Pioneers will get a game with their struggles they've had. Power are kind of dominant in OS, so I'm going to give it to them. Secret Gladiators. I think Gladiators can get a game off Secret, but Secret are the heavy favorites there. And Oxygen OG, I'll give it to Oxygen in 5, because OG have not been impressive at Majors this season. They've been pretty impressive online at Majors. Not really. Now, Oxygen also weren't very impressive, but at least they made it to round 5 of Swiss. They finished 9th. OG finished 13th. So I'll give that one Oxygen. Okay, Falcons BDS, the rematch. Now, they played in Swiss and London. Falcons won it. They played in the grand final of Esports World Cup. BDS won it. I think if they play in Swiss here, I think Falcons take it in 5. I think Falcons probably beat everyone in this tournament. Spoiler alert. I think they win. They're the best team in the world outside of grand finals. So this isn't a grand final, so I think Falcons are going to win it. G2 Gentlemates. That would be a really cool match to see in Swiss. Rematch of Copenhagen grand final. G2 coming back with beast mode. Gentlemates coming off of some tough losses. I'm going to probably say G2 because Gentlemates, I'll put it 5 because I think Gentlemates are going to bounce back, but that was a big shocker for them in what do you call it? A pretty big shock to lose like that. So yeah, I think they're probably in Esports World Cup. I've got to lean a little bit more towards G2 on that one. Wait a minute, hold on a second. Is that a crowd match? I'm trying to remember. This isn't a crowd match, is it? Because the crowd schedule's already been released, I believe, hasn't it? It's not? Oh, okay, hold on. So what are the crowd matches? Are these crowd matches and these aren't? Is this? If it's not a crowd match, that does change something. Maybe I'm going to give it Gentlemates then if it's not crowd. For some reason, my brain was thinking this is all crowd. I'm going to go Gentlemates if it's not. Gentlemates obviously lost in Esports World Cup. I do think they bounce back. G2, slow starters in majors. I think they're going to ramp up as the tournament goes on. But I think if this isn't in front of a crowd, I'm going to say Gentlemates. But if this is a crowd day, I'd probably say G2. Playoffs plus upper seeding for 3-1. Runs 4 lows and 5 are crowd. Okay, so this... right. So this is crowd, this is crowd, this is crowd? Because that would mean that everybody plays in front of a crowd, right? You do these matches in front of a crowd, then these matches in front of a crowd. Yeah, that's 8 games. That makes sense. Okay. It's also really, really cool. Just quietly, side note, really cool way to get every team to play in front of a crowd. You've got this, and this in front of a crowd, and then in the bracket, I think you've got all of these on one day, and then you've got all of this on the next day. So really cool way to get everybody in front of a crowd. W format. Right. GenG, Oxygen. I'm back in GenG there. Last time that these two played at LAN, I picked Oxygen to win it. They lost. So sorry, Archie. I can't back you this time. Even though you're in chat, I'm going to predict GenG. Archie's got 3 hours past 2, so he's going to be no doubt doubling that between now and then and really putting the pressure on GenG. But yeah, I'm pretty confident GenG, with the knowledge that they're going to be at this tournament for the length of time they've known, should be able to beat Oxygen. All right, Furia, Secret. Furia, obviously the superior team here. I think Secret can get a game in this, but Furia are, again, favorites by a fair margin. Vitality SSG, that's a banger. That would be a really fun match to see. I'm probably going to go with Vitality on it. 3-2 though. I think that's going 5. And then Carmine Corp Power. I think Power probably put up a respectable loss again, but I'm going to say 3-1. So Power again with the 1-3. So how are we doing this match before these have happened? Is that possible? Is it possible to draw this match without actually playing these? Interesting. Because all the teams that win here are the teams that play against the losers here. I guess it is possible to draw it. So let's guess. Who's it going to be? I'm not going to bother guessing. Let's just see. We'll do it in the wrong order. In the actual LAN, these are going to happen first, but it doesn't matter. Limitless OG. I think OG are going to win. Do Limitless get a game? Last time they were at LAN, they didn't get a game. They did go to overtime with OG once, though. Overtime, 3 minutes and 20 seconds into overtime. And then they lost by 2-0, 5-1. Then they also lost 2-1, 5-0, 3-1 to LG. The question really is, do we think Limitless have improved after this last time they played OG in the half year? The only other evidence we've seen of them on LAN is losing 3-0 to G2. That was honestly a pretty decent performance, though. They lost one of the games 2-1. Wasn't an embarrassing series at all. And then they took Power to overtime once. Lost 3-1, 4-2. Fairly respectable. Now, I said I wasn't going to do this out of charity, and this isn't out of charity. I'm going to say Limitless get their first win here of the season on LAN. I think they're going to go 1. They lost 0-4 to Elevate. When? Limitless. No, Limitless beat Elevate, didn't they? I'm pretty sure that Fear or Hoodie or somebody hosted a Limitless versus Elevate show match, and Limitless won it, I think, after the event. So if Elevate can get a game off Rule 1, I think Limitless can get a game off OG. Now, Gladiators, Pioneers, I think Gladiators win that, actually. They beat Chiefs at the last event, 3-0. I think they're going to beat Pioneers, 3-2. OCE's had a bit of mental problems recently. They keep on coming into events with, I think, way too high expectations. Then they lose one game and they just get really sad. Don't know why they do that. They should be happy to be there. They should just be trying to get upsets. They should understand that they're the underdogs. So yeah, I think OCE mental's been a bit shocked recently. And Pioneers have, unfortunately for them, been a pretty good example of that. I really like them as individuals and as a team, but they need to come in with a positive mentality if they're going to have a chance of winning. And yeah, I'm going to give the edge to Gladiators. They beat OCE 2 at the last event. I think they could do it again. Right. G2 Vitality. I'm going to say just not Vitality. I'm going to say G2 and 5. BDS Carmine. I think I'm going to say BDS in 5. And GenG Furia. I think I'm going to say GenG in 5. These guys coming off good Esports World Cups. Vitality, pretty bad Esports World Cup. Furia as well. So I'm going to say these guys are the 3-2 winners there. SSG Gladiators. I think that's probably going to be a sweep. Yeah, it's probably going to be a sweep. I think SSG are going to take them down. That's going to be the end of Gladiators' run. Skipping Power OG for a second, because I'm going to say Oxygen are going to beat Secret. I'll say 3-2, though. I think Secret could make that into an interesting Game 5. Power OG, though. Power OG. I'm going Power. Give me Power in 5. Because they've made round 5 of every Swiss so far this season. I think they're going to do it again. OG have failed to make round 5 of every Swiss this season. So why should that change? I'm going to say Power. Power in 5. Right, Furia Spacestation. That is a worldie of a 2-2 round, by the way. Worldie. We've got Oxygen Carmine. EU team kill. Since team kills are the most boring, I'll start with that one. Sorry, Archie, but I do think Carmine are going to win that. That's a good result, though, for coming in last minute. A good result. Maybe if you played more US West with me and CJ, we could flip that. Maybe we can flip this. If we grind more US West, get the training weights hours up. But right now, that's where it's at the current hours. Furia Space Station and Vitality Power. Guys, imagine Power eliminate defending world champions Vitality in Swiss. Imagine. Holy cow, can you imagine? I'm trying to think of a world where that happens. I just can't think of it, unfortunately. I don't think it's happening. I think Vitality are probably just going to win it. I think Power can get a game. I think they can give them a scare. Power 1-0 up. Oh my goodness, it's happening. Overtime game 2. Vitality on the ropes, and then Vitality just win. That's probably what's going to happen. That's a crowd. Oh my goodness, I forgot. That's a crowd game. All these are crowd games. That's so sick. That's actually crazy. Power OG in front of a crowd. Everybody's crying. Then Power versus Vitality. Everybody like decides, you know what? I'm a fan of these players from down under. But yeah, that's who I'm going for. Furia Spacestation though. Last time these two teams played in Swiss, Spacestation won it. And since then, well, Furia made a top 4, Spacestation didn't. Despite the team finishing ahead of Furia in Swiss, they ran into G2 and lost. Furia ran into Vitality. Well, Rodosin was sick and they won. But yeah, Furia definitely played G2 better than Spacestation did. So it's still close. Esports World Cup results, Furia looked a bit off their usual self. Spacestation didn't really have much of an event to talk about. They beat Gladiators. Then they went Game 5 with Chiefs featuring Jorias, who we find out are actually a decent team. Then they lost to the eventual winners, BDS. So it's pretty hard to say where Spacestation are at from this event because they only got 3 series and 2 of them are against teams who are not at Worlds. But yeah, I think I'm going to say Furia. Furia in 5. I think that's going to be interesting to see this one in front of a crowd because the crowd in Dallas 2 years ago did back Furia quite loudly, or large parts of the crowd did in Dallas. So I don't think it's going to be completely crickets for Furia. Although I do think Spacestation will get most of the crowd attention. Furia have played in Dickey's Arena before. They performed well in Dickey's Arena before. Spacestation's Chicago has. Did LJ play for? No, he didn't play for Spacestation back then. So it's just, it's only Chicago and Yan and Lost who have played in that arena before. But yeah, I think Furia Worlds, it's time for them to show up and be that team again. It's hard to imagine a bracket, a playoff bracket at Worlds without a SAM team in it. So that's where I'm at. But okay, let's see what this does to the bracket now. BDS G2. BDS G2 in the 3rd seed match. So winner of this will play against Gentlemates. Now remember I said that this match, no crowd, Gentlemates win. Well, G2, if they beat BDS here, can just get the rematch with Gentlemates. And it's a best of 5. It's not a best of 7. It's a best of 5. It says best of 5 here, so I imagine that's accurate. Really, really cool match. That would be hype because it's a big difference to just go upper bracket. They got 2 chances at it. Both these teams have 2 chances at going into the upper bracket. But yeah, BDS G2, best of 5. I'm going to say G2 in 5. The scorelines don't matter anymore, but I'll say in 5. And then BDS GenG. I think we're probably going BDS on that one. I think this is how it's going to transpire. We've got BDS Falcons, best of 7 this time. I think they play these matches first. I'm not actually sure. I imagine they would do that before eliminating more teams. Yeah, in fact, it's best of 7. I think I already had this match. Yep, best of 5, no crowd. Falcons take it. Now, do Falcons continue just being the best team in the world outside of grand finals? Or does BDS get the same best of 7 result as last time these two teams played? That's the question. Because this is tough. I've said, I tweeted this even. I imagine everybody's going to pick Falcons to win every match they play until the finals. But there are this match, I see this now. And now that I see it, I'm like, oh, that's not quite as, automatic anymore. When you're looking at early Swiss matches, you're like, oh yeah, Falcons. Yep, sure, Falcons, why not? This is not quite so automatic anymore. You're in the upper quarters playing for World's top 4. It's essentially a quarterfinal now. on the Saturday of Worlds. That's a different kind of pressure than a major, you know? And Falcons have not dealt well with pressure, you know? I think there's going to be an element of Worlds where every team is feeling pressure, and it might even the playing field a little bit, because now Falcons won't be the only nervous team in those high-pressure situations. But yeah, this is tough. I don't know who to pick. We've got to think about it. I'm going to go G2 over Gentlemates, though. I think that G2 coming off a win here, that will be a good trajectory for them. I'm going to say scoreline doesn't matter, but let's just get a 7-game absolute scorcher. Why not? I mean, why not, right? And I think, honestly, yeah, I could see BDS in 7. I could see that. I could see this. They could face each other 3 times. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can play a team 3 times in this format. That's true. We had BDS Falcons here. We could have BDS Falcons here again and then again in the final. I'm feeling BDS. Best of 7 BDS, different. Everything I predict is either 3-2 or 4-3. Or 3-2 or 4-3. I mean, yes, I'm kind of indicating how close I think the match is more than anything else. Because at this point, the scoreline doesn't matter at all. So I'm just indicating how confident I am in the prediction. Truth told, though, they're probably not all going to go to Game 7. It's always like 4-0s and 4-1s, even though we want to see Game 7s a lot. Okay, Furia Vitality. That one, I think Vitality will win. Vitality seem to have Furia's number a fair amount of the time. They beat them in Copenhagen bracket. They beat them in London Swiss. They lost to them in London bracket, but Radosin was sick, and then they beat them again at Esports World Cup. If we ignore the sicky Radosin series, it does seem like Vitality have got a good matchup here, so I'm going to say 4-1. I think Vitality, I'm pretty confident, are going to win that. And now we've just got the EU team kill bracket right here. This is brilliant. Exactly what we all wanted to see. It's exactly what the rest of the world wants to see. No denying that. Okay, GenG Carmine Corp. That would be a very exciting match. That would be a very exciting one. It's so hard to predict KC. No idea what kind of level they're going to come in with. Truth be told, it really is a guessing game when we're talking about Carmine Corp. But we know GenG are pretty strong. We know GenG are pretty strong right now. They look very good at the Esports World Cup. They lost to Falcons, but I mean, they seem to have a pretty bad matchup against Falcons. They just get outpaced and they can't keep up. But yeah, they smoked Vitality, lost in a respectable game 6 to BDS. That was a good series. So I think I'm leaning towards GenG because Carmine Corp are too much of a mystery, but I do think it could go 7. I think it could do that. But if KC can win that, oh boy, they can go the whole way. If they could just win like this one series, suddenly the door is like wide open for them to just make a run. Because they're up against Falcons, who could be nervous. They're up against G2, who have been waiting all the way in the semi-final for a while. Carmine Corp have got the momentum. I don't think anybody would want to play against Carmine Corp if they just look like themselves again. But right now, that's not what I'm thinking. I think I have to back GenG. They look good, look very good at Esports World Cup. But then they play against Falcons, who we know they're trash against. So obviously Falcons are going to smoke them 4-0. No need to discuss that one. Terrible matchup for GenG. They just get outpaced. And Gentlemates Vitality. Gentlemates look bad at Esports World Cup. Vitality look pretty bad in the playoffs at Esports World Cup, even though they beat Furia in the groups. I've got to say Gentlemates. I've got to think that they're going to have that LAN form. I'll say 4-2. I think Gentlemates, when if they can lock in, they could get comfortable. They've looked like that LAN team this season. Vitality have not really looked like themselves. Zen has looked themselves. Vitality as a team haven't, so I can't expect them to make top 4. These are the clear top 4, I think, that everybody's expecting. Gentlemates obviously had a big, big blip at Esports World Cup, but I think they're still clinging on to that top 4 because teams like GenG, Vitality, Furia also seem to have faltered somewhat. Actually, GenG are on an upward trajectory, but they faltered earlier in this season. Carmine as well. These teams faltered earlier. Vitality and Furia a bit more recently. So this is the expected teams, I would say. But okay, who do we think is making the grand final? This will all be on Sunday, all these games. Falcons, GenG, Sunday. Gentlemates, Vitality, Sunday. This is all Sunday. I imagine that would be game 1. This would be game 2, 3. Yeah, Gentlemates destroyed BDS in London. They did. They destroyed BDS in London. That's true. I mean, you could literally pick any team here in the semis, genuinely. You really could. You could pick any team. I think if Falcons make the final, they're losing. I think that they probably lose. I'm looking at the potential finals here. I think if it's BDS or Gentlemates against Falcons, they'll have a big mental edge and they'll probably win it. If G2 can get a win on the Sunday and go into the finals with a win in their back pocket, I think that would be a harder matchup for BDS and Gentlemates, because G2 have actually got a win, a LAN win, to give them confidence. But yeah, Gentlemates, BDS, and G2, they're all the teams with LAN wins. So realistically, I'm saying Falcons max at second, which kind of gives away who's winning, if I think Falcons beat G2 here. But yeah, Falcons, they beat G2 with NAS. Easy copium for G2 fans to say, well, it was NAS, not beast mode, so therefore with beast mode, it's going to go the other way. In fact, it shouldn't even be this close with a sub. So that proves that G2 are just better right now. That's, easy copium for G2 fans. How's it copium? It's super valid. A lot of copium is valid. You don't need to take it as a bad thing. A lot of copium is totally valid. When I say it's easy copium, I mean, yeah, it's great copium, straight from the source. Inhale that, But yeah, for Falcons, I'm sure that Falcons fans will take a lot of, a lot of confidence from this matchup because they beat 2/3 of G2, and that G2 was looking really, really good. They beat BDS 3-0, comfortable. They beat Chiefs 4-0, comfortable. Chiefs who beat Gentlemates, so pretty good team. And yeah, for the most part, they did slot NAS really well into the system. But yeah, I'm going to go Falcons, and because none of the series of these teams have ever played have been close, I don't think I can predict that this one will be close. I think it's going to be one-sided for either team. I can maybe say 2 I don't think it's going to 7. I'll say 2. Because these teams have never played a close series. Falcons destroyed them in Swiss and London. G2 4-1 in the final. Falcons 4-1 against NAS version of G2 at Esports World Cup. And now we're pretty much just figuring out who do we think is going to win the whole thing. I think Falcons are probably losing the final. Again, unfortunately. They're going to join the unenviable but illustrious list of players who have lost 4 LANs before they win one. That list includes players like K-Dot, I believe. He lost Season 3, DreamHack Summer, X Games, and DreamHack Atlanta, I think it was, before he finally won at Season 4. I think didn't Justin lose 4 finals before winning one? He lost Season 5, he lost a Gnarly, I think he lost DreamHack Valencia, and maybe another DreamHack somewhere, I can't remember, maybe just 3, before they finally won the Summit BTS. Maybe it's just 3. But yeah, a lot of really, really good players have lost 3 finals before. It's quite a large group of pros, actually. So Falcons are not the only players in this category. But yeah, they'll be wanting to get out of it as soon as possible. Oh man, this is tough. BDS or Gentlemates? Do we think it's going to be Gentlemates bouncing back from EWC the way that BDS did 2 years ago after getting smoked in London? They bounced back and won Worlds. Does Seiko just do that again? Or will BDS lock in? For some reason, I'm thinking it's the mates. I just feel like it's the mates. Big brain, we're going to run back the 4-0. Bold predictions only. And then, yeah, I'll say it's a heartbreak Game 7 this time. Heartbreak Game 7. Oh, I like that it's got... Wait a minute. This might flashbang your screens. Okay, not really. I like the picture that loads. That's really cool. Shout out to... Where is his at? I can't see it on screen anywhere. There he is. Cody. On Twitter for this. But yeah, there's my summary. That's the way I think it's going to go down. Truth be told, one of the hardest worlds to predict in a while. Vitality was a pretty easy lock last year that everybody thought was going to win, and they did win. The year before that, BDS and G2, the grand finalists, were both LAN winners that season. Everybody thought Moist Falcons might go deep. They didn't. Yeah, all the LAN winners from this season, plus BDS Esports World Cup. We got G2, Gentlemates, BDS, LAN winners, making deep runs. Falcons, they just keep coming second. So, I mean, that could easily happen again. But these are the four most likely to win the whole thing, I would say. Who's your dark horse, if not these four, though? Dark horse for me would probably have to be Carmine Corp, because I don't believe in Furia making a run to win it right now. They're in a bit of a slump, it seems. Vitality just got completely destroyed in a quarterfinal at EWC. They also lost quarterfinal at London, so I can't see them winning it, defending their title. GenG, I could see them maybe making a top 4 again, like they did at EWC, but winning it, I don't really see that. I think Carmine Corp are the team that are the hardest to predict. They've got the biggest range, so they're my dark horse. But I also think that GenG are beating them in this round, so yeah, that'll be my predictions then. I think it's super close though. Hard to predict, really hard to predict. I also, although I say it's really hard to predict, I think it's hard to predict, and it could be really any of these teams winning it. Well, actually, it could be G2, BDS, or Gentlemates. I think Falcons finished second. But it could be G2, BDS, and Gentlemates are all very strong shouts to win. Yeah, Falcons, I guess, if they break their second place streak.